Hi PreCalc, how you doing? It's good to be with you again. I'm just starting to miss you all, but it was nice to have a break. So I'm ready to get back at it. And you'll be viewing this. The latest date you should be viewing this is January the 2nd, and it's not 16 anymore. It is 17. So how about that? How was your Christmas? We had a great time with our family in Nashville and in the Bel Air area celebrating the Lord's birth, and I trust yours was as good as mine. What was one of your gifts that you enjoy? I'll show you one of mine. I like glass. I'll show you what I mean by glass. Hold on. I'm not a very good videographer, as you suffer through. I don't know if this will show up. That's a little hummingbird. It's actually colorful. I don't know if you can tell in this angle. It's actually bright green and purple and so forth. That's not my gift, but that's the kind of thing I like. That's one of them. See if I can get any color at all. There's a little bit of color. It's very colorful. I don't know why it's not showing up. But that kind of thing, it's crazy how expensive those little things are. Well, my husband researched an artist in Vermont, and we're actually going to go and meet him. He makes glass ornaments, and Mr. DeBloom does stuff with glass, so he's my hero. That's what he got me. So it's the cardinal male and female pair. They're made by an artist in Vermont, and it's very cool. So I appreciate the research that went into it and so forth. Communicate it with the artist and everything. So that kind of gift is fun. So hopefully you got some fun gifts. But the greatest gift came at Bethlehem. So why talk about these measly gifts when we have a Savior? All right, PreCalc, here we go. Let's look at some stuff. If you recall, we ended on taking a test, and it was on like sum and difference IDs and half angles and double angles and power reducing IDs. There are basically 4 topics. You had an 8-question quiz test, 2 for each topic. And I was supposed to have the sum to product and product to sums, but I had been sick and a lot of you had been sick, so I ended up taking those off of that test plan. So let's pick it up there, and we actually have already had a video on product to sum IDs. So I'm not going to reinvent the wheel, but I'm going to present them to you and do one problem, and that's what you'll be working on tomorrow if you're viewing this on the 2nd. Alright, so there are 4 product to sum IDs. So here they are in all of their glory. Let me get this situated. Alright, I think they show up. I can't zoom in too much or I lose them. You should have these already. If not, get them into that special Trig ID spot in the back of your comp book. And notice we're always starting with a product, 2 things multiplied, and we're ending with 2 things added. Now you might say, well, that's subtracted. Well, subtraction in algebra is a special form of addition. We're just adding a negative value. So we call all of these as sums. So we're going from a product to a sum, and those were the trig IDs that will help us do that. So make sure those are down. Pause this video if you need to. They should already be where they should be already in your trig ID section. Alright, let me show you how to use one. When you get to class, we are going to do a problem or several problems on page 416, and we're going to start with number 63. So I'm going to do that one with you, and you can write it in your comp book as an example. You already have at least one example. This might be the one I did before. Let's hope not. All right, so we have 6 sine of pi over 4 times cosine of pi over 4. And you already could find that on unit circle and that on unit circle and multiply that out and get a value. But the directions will not direct you to do that. It will not just say simplify. It'll say write as a, and then the direction should be, since we're starting with a product and going to a sum, it should say write as a sum. So to do that, we have to look at our choices here, go down our choices, up and down our choices, and see which one matches this problem. So can you do that? Beep 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 beep. Oh, the beep beeps didn't find one. Let's look again. Beep 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 beep. Bing 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 bing. All right. So the bing bings are never wrong. So I'm going to pick this one. It matches this problem. Sine of some angle, cosine of some angle, and there it is. The others do not match. Sine, cosine. You cannot use this one because it starts with cosine. This starts with sine. So we found a match. And so I'm going to rewrite that trig ID right there. There's that trig ID, copied directly from this line where I'm going to write it out. And I notice that this 6 does not exist. There's no value out in front. So I'm just going to write the 6 in front of the whole trig ID when I write this problem out. When I get to A in my formula, I'm going to replace it with pi over 4. And B in this example is also pi over 4. Often it's different, but this one just worked out that way. So as I rewrite this side, when I get to an A, I replace it with this and B with that. So doing so, and you can just pause if I go too fast. Since I wrote this out ahead, I may be going too fast. So you can see here that everywhere I had an A, I put in pi over 4 and a B, pi over 4, and so on down the problem. Now this 6 was not, there was not a spot for that in the formula, so I will just put it in front of the formula here. Actually, we had parentheses inside, then brackets. Do you know what the upgrade is from brackets? It's not another set of brackets. It is braces. So brace is a thing with the nose. Alright, so I should have upgraded it properly. Alright, so now to simplify, all we have to do is simplify, because we have really written it as a sum already. But if there's a plus or a minus sign connecting the terms, then you have written it as a sum. However, I see some simplifications that I would like to see you do. So the first one is, since that 1/2 is outside this whole expression, I can multiply the 6 times the 1/2, and I'll get a 3. Then sine of what is pi over 4 plus pi over 4. Quarter of a pizza plus a quarter of a pizza is half a pizza until it's lunchtime. Alright, and pi over 4 minus pi over 4 is 0. Don't assume that that sign of 0, just because this value is 0, that the whole term is 0. Sometimes it is, and sometimes it isn't. So, we'll find out on the next step. So here, we have sine of, not sure if I can, yeah, that was a little better. Sine of pi over 2, so looking at my unit circle, my memorized unit circle, come on paper, pi over 2 is right there, and its coordinates at that point are 0, 1. So since I'm looking for sine of pi over 2, it's going to be the second coordinate, so I get a 1 here, and sine of 0, that's this value. Its coordinates are 1, 0. The second coordinate is 0. So I told you don't assume that this term is 0 when this is 0. But in this case it was. And so we end up with 3 times a 1 plus 0, which is a 3. However, we haven't exactly followed the directions because the directions said write as a sum. So our book and our directions will actually asking you to stop here. So the unit circle didn't really have to come out to play, but to keep your unit circle sharp, we went on beyond what was required. So that is the actually writing it as a sum. So why would you stop there if you can make it look so simple like that? Because you are in pre-calculus land and you are preparing for a day where you have to take the derivative or the integral of an expression that starts like that, which is quite difficult to do, but rewritten like this, you can find the derivative or the integral quite easily. So you're preparing, this is again a pre-calculus course, and it's preparing you for something to come. So there is the answer expected of you. I did start with a product, and I did end with a sum right here, indicated by that plus sign there. Okay. So that's that example. So you'll be doing number 63 through 72 on page 416, this exact same skill, starting with a product and ending with a sum. So then, if that wasn't exciting enough, we went on and on and on. What in the world did we do next? We went and started with a problem that had these, well actually we developed these expressions and we did a problem using them. So then we added 4 more trig IDs. How many do we have? 40 some? If you have been numbering them, I'd like to know what your number is. So I developed 4 more trig IDs, and I think that day I said I was going to title it, but I don't think I did title it. So what happens is the title is going to be sum to product IDs. Notice we always start it with a sum. We're including the negative as a sum. So we started with a sum and we ended up with multiplying all the factors together. So sum to product. So these are sum to product IDs. Go back in your comp book where I developed these and title it sum to product IDs if I failed to do that. I have an old date up here, sorry. Don't want that to be too distracting. If you notice that date, it's January 2nd, 17. All right. You may be watching that before that date, but that's the latest date you should be watching. Sum to product IDs. All right. Those problems will lead us to page 416, 75 to 80. So let's do the first one together. And the command this time is write as a, what do you think I'm going to put in there? Write as a product. Because we're going to start with a sum and end with a product, going the opposite direction that the other IDs we just used took us. So we're doing number 75, and it gives us a trig ID, it gives us a problem where we have a difference, sine of an angle minus sine of an angle. So let's get the beep beeps out. Which one, look at the problem, sine of an angle minus sine of an angle. Which trig ID will help us in this case? Bing, 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 bing. The bing bings are never wrong. So I'm going to grab this one, sine of an angle minus sine of an angle, and go ahead and grab that trig ID right there. And this time, what will go in for x and what will go in for y. So sine of 5 theta, this is my x, and my y is 3 theta. Do you see through this matching process, everywhere there is an x, I'm going to put a 5 theta, y, 3 theta. So I'm going to go ahead and do that in the expression here on the right. And I'm going to get x again takes on 5 theta, y takes on 3 theta, and so on. And actually, we have started with a difference, a sum, and end it with a product. But we're going to clean that up a little bit. So going in here, what can I do? 5 theta plus 3 theta over 2. Like terms become 8 theta over 2. 5 theta minus 3 theta over 2 becomes 2 theta over 2. And then what can I do with 8 theta over 2 and 2 theta over 2? Since they are factors, we can simplify there and simplify there. And it gives me 2 cosine 4 theta times sine of theta. That is indeed a product, and the command was right as a product, so this is the answer. And again, you're in calculus land where you may need to do that one day to simplify your life and save you a whole bunch of time. All right, so here we are. We'll be looking at this tomorrow, or whatever day we start back according to when you're watching this. We're going to start back, I guess, on Tuesday. So we'll be looking at this on Tuesday. And these problems go very quickly. So you can see once you identify the equation, you throw the, once you identify the formula, the ID, you just throw the appropriate numbers into it or expressions into it and simplify. And look how quickly you can do that. So I'm expecting this whole assignment, along with the first one I presented earlier in the video, to be done in class. If they are not able to be done in class, they will be for homework along with the video. So you don't need both things at night. So please work diligently in class to get this work done. All right, it'll be due first thing in class on Wednesday. All right, so you have a good night, and I hope this video finds you anxious to get back at it, and I will see you soon. Till then, over and out.